Good afternoon, all. I want to give you a video update where we are on the patient. I really wanted to get an update out to you before you had to ask, but it just didn't happen. I'm walking through the shop here and back to where the electric Sportsman is. I like that for a name anyway. But at any rate, so it's back here. We're keeping it under wraps so that we don't have a dirty cover when we start to bring it out in early May is what I've got in my mind. There was a chance that I could have brought it this week, but we just had too many other deadlines looming, and so to be successful on yours, we wanted to make sure we didn't rush on it. So at any rate, a couple of things. We have, here's the electric Sportsman, and we have the side curtains on as well. I haven't billed you for the side curtains yet, so those are the side curtains. Down here we have the motor. It's 15 horsepower maximum, 6 horsepower continuous, and we'll push the boat along at about 5 to 6 miles an hour. And then we have a whole mass of wires and so forth. This is the speed controller right here, and I'll be hooking that into the throttle. And the original throttle on this boat is in the center of the steering wheel. I think I showed you a picture of it earlier, but I'd like to pull this on out, and we'll show you the throttle. So the throttle on this boat, the original throttle, is right here in the middle of the steering wheel. So we're going to hook this through linkages. We're going to hook this original throttle up to the speed controller that I showed you down here on the floor. So when you activate the throttle, it's going to push on a series of levers, and they're going to transfer the force back to that controller. As a matter of fact, the lever is pushing the rod that you see, the brass-colored rod that you see on the far side next to that new wooden block that I'm going to tell you about in a couple minutes. And then, of course, we have a reverse switch, and we have a little monitor that I'm going to try to figure out how to inconspicuously mount that monitors the condition of your battery. And we have a key switch, but I'm going to hook, rather than use this modern key switch, I'm going to hook it to the original key switch in the boat. And then we have a reversing switch, which we're going to put back here. There is a rod back in here that you can't see right now. We're going to hook the reversing switch to that so that your gear shift lever actually does the reversing. This black box down here is the speed controller, and it will hook to the motor, and based on whether you want to go forward and reverse, it will send the electricity to the motor to do what it is we're wanting to do. The notebook paper I've got here is a sketch that we've got off to our machine and fab shop of how we're going to be doing the motor mount. And then it also, we have to make the connection between the propeller shaft, which has the blue hubs on it, or well, one of them is blue, the other's not yet. But we have to make a connection between that propeller shaft and the motor. And that connection will be done by a special belt drive. It's called a timing belt drive, poly chain they call it. And then we have to make a connection. So this is the bearing we've selected. It's called a pillow block bearing. That will be mounted under the motor mount and be mounted to this block right here that my thumb is on, and be mounted to that block under the motor mount. And the bearing is a food grade factory bearing, which is corrosion resistant. We don't want this thing rusting up, and so the bearing is actually made for washdown with corrosive materials. The other thing that I'm going to put this paper down now, and the other thing that you'll notice is we've got this skeleton that looks like the shape of your engine box. And the reason for the skeleton, we threw it together in a couple of hours, and the reason for the skeleton is for me to be able to make sure that I can get the motor and the batteries all within the inside of the engine box before putting the engine box on and then deciding that, oh darn, it doesn't all fit. So that's our method for doing that, rather than having to keep putting the tape measure up in the air and try to measure in midair and make sure everything's going to fit. The other thing we had to do is, originally, we have retained all of the original motor mounts, so that if you ever wanted to go back and put in your other engine, sell your boat, whatever, we want to make sure that it was easy. You could just pull out the new stuff and then go right back onto the engine mount. So, or put the engine right back on the mounts. So we've made some wedges, and we've made some blocks, and that you see the blocks on this other side, and that's a wedge, another block, and that's made that whole area level. We're going to put our motor mount, our electric motor mount, across the back here, and then this other area will get the mounting space for the batteries. There was a water cooling inlet because the engine, of course, is water cooled. We've closed off the water cooling inlet, and then there was a self bailer which we have removed. The self bailer actually sank more boats than it saved because and the way this worked was a siphon. When you got going really fast in the water, this was connected to a fitting on the bottom of the boat, and it would suck water out of the boat through this siphon tube right up there and go around the top of the siphon tube and suck water out of the boat. Now what happens is, as soon as that siphon was created, if all the water wasn't sucked out of the boat, then water would siphon back in the boat when you stopped. Unless, of course, there was a way to break the suction. And so they put a little pinhole in the top of the tube. And as you can see, this pinhole has been taped up. You can see where it's clean, about 2 wraps of tape where it's clean around the pinhole. And if that wasn't the case, a lot of times mud daubers would build nests on top of those and close that siphon tube. And you start your siphoning action by siphoning water out of the boat. But if you didn't get all of the water out and break the siphon, then of course the siphon works just as good in reverse as it does in forward, and it would siphon water back into the boat. So that's been removed actually, and it's capped off over here on the back. And I actually intend to use that through hole fitting to put your depth sounder in once you've selected that. I don't have any selection information on that yet, so I haven't purchased one. So if you've made a selection, let me know, and we'll get that taken care of. If you haven't made a selection, then you can either select from me, or there's hardly any markup in these things. If you want to go to Walmart, or if you've got a trusted friend out there that can help you with that selection process, yeah, I won't get upset, and you can go ahead and do that. We haven't yet figured out, it won't be a big deal, but we haven't yet figured out how to put your gas filler cap back in the hole here. And of course we're going to, it's not going to be a gas filler cap anymore. We will put a cap over the end so that no one can inadvertently make that mistake and put gasoline in your boat. You'll also notice there's a hole right here at the back of the boat. That's where the exhaust pipe used to come out. And we've had a short exhaust pipe made that it's a fake pipe. It's going to close the hole. It's in a very attractive way. It's going to make the boat look realistic. And oh, by the way, that box over there on the far side of the boat right there is your battery charger for the batteries. And let me show you the exhaust pipe that we've got welded up. Basically, we didn't cut your exhaust pipe off, which makes me want a trip by your engine. We'll make a trip by your engine. Here's a 65 resorter being worked on for a customer in Texas. This boat gets a new transom. Here's your engine. And so we even saved your battery. We don't know what kind of condition your battery's in. This battery can't be used. This is a engine starting battery. And what we're going to be using for your motor, of course, is a deep cycle battery. These deep cycle batteries can be discharged fully hundreds of times without damaging the battery. This style of battery can only be discharged fully with like the kind of load you're going to have about 2 or 3 times, and then they're toast. As a matter of fact, they will short out and they will ruin your other batteries. So we'll bring that to you if it tests good. If not, we'll just leave it here. Here's your old exhaust pipe. And so we didn't want to cut this exhaust pipe off. We wanted to keep it intact so that if you ever decided to reinstall your engine, you would be able to do so without having to buy a new exhaust pipe. Even your voltage regulator for your engine charging system, and your wedges, we're adjusting the engine. We've kept all this together, so we'll be able to, we'll bring that to you all in a package, and wherever we deliver it, we'll need of course a forklift to be able to get this off our trailer. So there's your engine, and I was taking you to see the exhaust pipe. We're cleaning the exhaust pipe, which we do with a simple vinegar solution to start with, and then we'll polish it. And so here's your exhaust pipe now. Obviously no hole like a regular exhaust pipe. That'll keep the water from running into the boat and sinking the boat, of course. But from the outside, this is going to look like you've got a real working gasoline-powered Chris Craft. It's just that there won't be any smoke from here, and there won't be any exhaust from here, or anything of that nature. So that's the video update. It's the quick and dirty update on the Patient, and we really got started in earnest this week. We had this done a couple of weeks ago, and of course we took the engine out a month or so ago. So we had another deadline, and it's going out actually Monday to the Mount Dora Boat Show, and we'll be able to concentrate once again on the electric Sportsman. Thank you very much, Saul.